Hey, so I just want to make this video about diet because it's a huge issue. I mean, the number one video that I've ever made, meaning like the one that gets the most comments and the most views, is the one about gluten. Because if you are suffering from some kind of a dietary or some kind of a physical ailment, and you come to a place where you recognize that it has something to do with your diet, and it's like something that's in your grasp, you can fix that. And so diet's huge. I mean, so many people struggling out there with diet. So I have come quite a ways in diet just in the last few months, and so I just thought I would share kind of where I was coming from. So what was it, about a year and a half ago, when I was living here in Canada, I was dealing with this gluten sensitivity, celiac, to the point where just like the littlest bit, I would get all kinds of I had all the symptoms of it anyways. And so I went on a raw vegan diet because I needed to heal my system. And so, I've been vegan for 10 years, but not eating just raw food. And so I did that, but then I struggled on it because I like to work out. I like to run. I like to practice calisthenics. And I also practice a fair amount of hatha yoga, a lot. And so when I went on this diet, I felt great, but I lost about 10 pounds. Like I am 145 pounds soaking wet is the joke, but like 145 pounds just always. And then I lost 10 pounds, and it's just like, I don't think I lost 10 pounds of toxins. And I didn't have the energy and stuff like that. I was like, you know what? This isn't for me. And it wasn't the first time that I had tried a raw vegan diet. The first time I tried it was many years before that. And then it was like, and it didn't help what ailed me. Then that's when I got onto fruit and became a fruitarian. So then it's just like, I keep coming back to it. So I went to it, and then it didn't work for me with my lifestyle anyways. I mean, I need the energy and the strength to do the things that I need to do. And so, so then I started eating beans again. I started eating cooked food again. And I started eating lots of cooked things, not just beans, but corn and rice and potatoes and on, and steaming vegetables, and, still eating like a relatively healthy diet, like very healthy, according to some people. But for myself, for my body, it just was, and then, I gained that 10 pounds back, which was good. And so then I lost my job, and then I went on this big road trip to Mexico and back, right? And I had a pressure cooker so that I could cook rice and beans and quinoa and steam things aside, and eating fruit and all the other kinds of things that I eat. And so I basically lived eating this way for a period of time, like basically a year, eating out of a pressure cooker every day, including when I got back. And because when I went down to the States, and I was doing all this stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm doing something wrong, because I was just dead tired. And then I realized that I needed to be way more cognizant of my protein intake for the amount of exercise that I was doing, because you're living in your car, you're at the gym every day. I'm there twice a day. And so that's why I started really working out and practicing yoga, and I just like died because I wasn't eating enough protein. So then I started buying some protein supplements and doing that. And then I was able to keep performing. But I think during the process of getting to that point of realizing that I wasn't eating sufficient protein for the amount of physical exercise that I like to do, I did some damage to like my knee. And so then it was a process of, okay, well, how do I reconcile this? How do I get back to perfect health? Because there's certain moves, yoga poses that I used to be able to do that I had no problem doing, that I wasn't able to do anymore because of the pain that was in my knee. And so, you know, that was, so then I got back to Canada, and then I started this whole dietary regimen thing. So like a 23-hour fast every day, and eating, and that meal though, would always be, so it always starts with a protein shake with all these things in it, and then some other supplements, and then a meal, like a hearty meal, which would be either rice or quinoa or beans or something fairly hefty, like a big guacamole or like something, because if you're doing a 23-hour fast, it's important to have, your body has something good to work with anyways, and that you feel satiated and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, eating salad isn't really an option. That's what I found anyways. And so I was doing that, and then one day I was doing some yoga and I hurt my back. Albeit twisting myself into a pretzel, but still I hurt my back and I had to stop for about a week. And then, you know, I was doing really well on that diet, and then the pain came back. And I was like, okay, because I stopped with all the supplements. It's like, oh, I don't need to be eating so much protein and taking all these supplements if I'm not going to the gym and I'm just like in rest mode. I was like, I don't need that. And so, yeah, then I started suffering again because I was still eating the same way that I was. You know, I was taking some of the supplements, you know, here and there, but just not to the same kind of levels that I was when I was really pushing myself, because, yeah. And so, and then I tried practicing yoga again one day, and then I hurt. And then, you know, I was like on one of the last things that I was doing. I think it was going down into a child's pose. Like, if you know yoga, that's like a pretty not stressful pose. And I re-aggravated this thing in my lower back. And it was just like, holy cow. It's like, wow, I need to take like a month off now. And that was really hard for me, because yoga is my rock. I mean, it is something that gives me focus to practice. It's a part of my meditation practice, because when your body has to be quite strong and flexible and supple and just healthy in general to be able to sit in meditation for, you know, an hour or more. Or else your legs are going to fall asleep and you're going to have pain here or there, and you get restless in your shoulders and your neck and just all that kind of stuff. So it's like, and it was during that period that it dawned on me. It's like, wow, you know, I'm taking all these supplements, and, you know, I don't like the idea of taking supplements, because so what? I don't want to be like reliant on supplements. I'm going to be taking these things for the rest of my life. Yeah, right. There's no way. I mean, they're expensive. I mean, I could see it as something to help me to get from A to B, to help repair some damage, but it's not a long-term solution for me by any means. Pills and powders and all that kind of stuff. No way. And so it was like, wow, I think that it's something that I am doing and not something that I'm not doing. It wasn't the issue that I was experiencing wasn't a result of not having enough glucosamine, not having enough oils, you know, omegas and stuff like that. I'm not taking enough flaxseed oil, or I'm not eating enough hemp seeds. You know, it's not like that. There's something else that's going on. And so, you know, fast forwarding a little bit, all of a sudden I'm here living in this house, and so I went to a festival and I actually left my pressure cooker there by accident, right? But it was gone, and I was all planning to get another one. But now that I'm back here, I have access to a storage bin, and I have my Instant Pot. And so all of this, you know, you can just plug the thing in, and I'm eating this stuff, and you know, I'm just not, still, there's something, I'm still not recovering. You know, it's frustrating because it's like, I feel like I'm on the verge of sickness and health. I'm at a crossroads where, you know, my body's telling me things, and it's a matter of learning of listening, paying attention, listening, and interpreting the messages that I'm being given. Because that's the body. It's my body. And so what was it? You know, I was like, okay, well, sometimes my diet would fluctuate, and I noticed that whenever I would eat rice, I would have to go to the bathroom fairly early in the morning, and it would come out, you know, and it wouldn't, you know, it didn't look like ideal, you know. Yeah. And so, and I've noticed in the past before as well with like corn, I would actually, my joke was I would call it the corn broom, because like a corn broom, because it would sweep my system. You know, I go through times when I don't eat those things, and then times when you do. And so then you have a contrast between, it's like, okay, well, you know, I've eaten rice, you know, I'm eating organic brown rice that has been pressure cooked. You know, I'm eating it with, you know, a balance of like raw foods and you know, all this kind of stuff, you know, with like a turmeric paste and things like that I would buy, and, you know, eating pretty healthy, but like not good enough, you know, close but no cigar. And so and so I was like, oh wow, you know, like maybe, you know, I've been aware of a grain-free diet, you know, you hear about that kind of thing. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, I agree with the idea that, you know, that stuff, like I don't know how long we've been eating rice, but it's a lot of things came around about 10,000 years ago, like fairly recent, in terms of like how long we've been on this planet, which, yeah, not even gonna get into that, but I would just say that, yeah. And so all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I will cut that stuff out. And so all of a sudden I found myself on a vegan paleo diet, not to be confused with a paleo vegan diet, which is what this guy calls pegan, where it's like, because like paleo, I think you eat like a lot of meat and a bit of fruits and vegetables, but certainly no grains, and nothing that wasn't available to Paleolithic man and woman. And so agricultural crops like corn and rice and things like that, that's not what people were eating. The idea, right, is that people were eating things that were freely available, berries and nuts and seeds, things that grow on trees, that grow on vines, and that kind of stuff. So and animals, as far as some people are concerned. I disagree, but anyways. So I'm on a vegan paleo diet, and I noticed an immediate change for myself where my digestion slowed right down. And instead of having to go to the bathroom in the morning, I wouldn't have to go to the bathroom until the evening, till the afternoon or evening. I mean, there's fluctuations in this depending on the frequency of your eating and whatnot. But also when I would, my evacuations, you know, my bowel movements, they were very nicely formed, very compact. And it's like, you know, you look at it in the toilet and it's like, well, that looks like it has had every last ounce of anything that my body could have possibly extracted from that. You know, that I wouldn't say that, yeah, it looks completely digested and assimilated. That is waste. There is nothing left there. And so, you know, very good sign. And that is something that I have struggled with my whole life. Like, I have tried so many diets. I did the non-hybrid diet, the Dr. Sebi thing. And yeah, like I said, you know, vegan, raw vegan, vegetarian, you know, I eat 100-mile diet. I mean, not going to go into all the diets right now, but, so then it was like, okay, well, cut out the grains and stuff like that. But then it's like, you know, the only thing that I still eat that is cooked is potatoes. And I'll also notice quinoa. It runs straight through me. So, you know, it's funny. And then, but, you know, didn't put 2 and 2 together, and just for years, just kept on eating these things. Eating. I mean, and so I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm basically only eating potatoes. It's like, and what is in potatoes is so good? It's just like, there's nothing special about them, you know? I mean, they're enjoyable. It's a vegetable, but, yeah. And so I just decided to cut it out and then go once again to a raw vegan diet. And this is, I believe it is the 4th time that I have tried this. And so for myself, it's like, you know, like I said, I did it a bunch of times and failed, but for some reason I keep coming back to it. I feel the best when I eat a raw vegan diet. But the issue is that you just, because on that diet, you basically get to throw away, you just need to let, or yeah, you can throw away every recipe that you know, unless it's guacamole or some kind of salad. And you need to learn an entirely new way of preparing food. And you can get caught up in that too, in a way that to me makes it unpalatable. Like, I don't want to start dehydrating. I would rather eat fruit whole and stuff like that. I mean, I would rather buy dehydrated fruit, but it's, you know, I don't want to, for myself, it's like a food processor. Yeah, you need that. A blender. Yeah. A mini blender, a personal blender. Sure. I basically make salad dressings in it, right? And I don't eat a lot of salad, just to be super clear. I don't find that it, yeah, I like salads. And I tell you, when you venture on a raw vegan diet, you have to step up your salad game 100%. You have to get books on how to make salad dressings properly. You have to learn how to, you know, combine food ingredients in ways where you have enough variety and, you know, different textures and flavors and like combinations of things, which makes it enjoyable long term. You can't just wing it, per se. It will get old very fast because yeah, I mean, if I had the money, I would hire a raw food chef, and I would only eat raw food ever. I would get them to make all of my meals and stuff like that. That is my dream. But you know, finding my way within it initially, yeah, you know, like the thing is, having a juicer too, that's another huge thing, is that when I was doing raw food last time, I was not juicing. And so I've always found it somewhat challenging to intake enough food, enough calories, enough of everything, because my stomach's just only so big. And it's just like, I really want to push myself with yoga and calisthenics, and I like to bulk up a little bit. You know, I don't need to be as slender as I am. I don't, you know, a little bit of muscle is good, right? And I like, you know, to practice the yoga. So it's like, but you have to compensate for that. So then with the juicing, and you have to get good at juicing too, to have like a few staple combos that you keep coming back to, like, so that you're not making the same one the whole time. And it's just like cooking with like regular food. You can't like just juice a bunch of, you know, it's all about the amounts and the combining. If it's too much of one thing, it's overpowering, it doesn't taste good, and then it's a turnoff essentially. Whereas if you do it right, it's very enjoyable, and you say, oh wow, that tastes awesome, and I feel great, and you know, yeah. And there's a lot of people who stand by, you know, people eat raw vegan. It's not just a philosophy, like it's a lifestyle. It is for the rest of your life kind of thing. It's not, you know, there's people 25 years, you know, on and on and on. Because like once you develop a taste for vibrancy, I mean, it's hard to go back to anything which in any way zaps your energy. And that was a big thing, was that when I was eating the cooked food, so I like to get up super early in the morning. If I go to bed at 9 o'clock, like I retire to my room at 6 o'clock. I study different things for an hour at a time for 3 hours. At 9 o'clock, I hit the hay and get up at midnight. But in order to do that, there has to be like an alignment between where you're at mentally and physically, energetically, emotionally. Like you have to be there. You can't just, because otherwise you get up, you know, you wake up, your mind wakes up, and it's like, okay, and you have to have a meditation game as well, as far as I understand, just because it recharges you in a certain way. But with like, you know, I was doing everything right, and it was like, there's something that is still zapping my energy. I feel like I'm drained, and I just couldn't figure out what it was that I was doing. And that's why I looked for more answers and, you know, experimented with diet once again. And that is what led me back once again to a raw food diet. And not like, you know, a big part of it for me this time is don't look outside of yourself for inspiration. Don't look at what anybody else is doing, even if it's like fully raw Christina, who I adore. You know, she is she is somebody who's shining, you know, like you can tell when a person is doing really well on their diet. You know, you can see it in their face, their complexion, their skin, you know, like very, very healthy, very vibrant, very clear thinking. You know, the eyes, your eyes lighten when you lighten your diet. It's a funny thing, like my eyes have become much lighter over the years of changing my diet and whatnot. And I like it. I like my eyes the lighter brown. They're a much lighter brown than they were years ago. And so, but like, you know, it's just for myself, it's important. I guess it's one thing if you have a partner and you're making foods and stuff like that together, because then you share the load of it. But it's like for a single guy to be dehydrating and juicing and making like little things, like I like to make energy balls with like nuts and seeds and dates and things like that. And, you know, that's really easy. I like to keep it pretty simple, and, you know, all of it. I mean, if you're sharing the load, it's one thing, but you know, for myself, I spent a lot of times like, well, no, I don't need a dehydrator. And the juicer that I have is fine. I mean, there's this new fancy one, the Nama J2, but you know, that's something to work towards. We'll have that eventually. And you know, you can, better than a dehydrator is a freeze dryer, but they're super expensive. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, could be fun, but, and what I've done now is I've endeavored, so it's just like, okay, once a week, I will make a recipe from one of my recipe books. Because this is the 4th time that I've been on a raw vegan diet. I've bought a few books over that period of time, because to take something seriously, you know, you need help. It's just like this whole spiritual thing and seeking a teacher, a competent teacher who's accomplished, right? And so, yeah, and making one recipe every week so that you expand your vocabulary of how to create things which are easy and enjoyable, and also, yeah, I mean, just, yeah, that kind of stuff. So I certainly have a few staples that I eat that I've, yeah, but yeah, and that's where I'm at. I mean, but also, you know, one part of it I hear from a few people that just like, say, I was reading Annie Fio's book, like it's like Raw Food Essentials or something. And she says, you know, in the beginning, it's like there's certain things you have to take into account. It's like if you live, I think she lived in the northern states. I don't know if it's Seattle or Portland or somewhere, right? But like certainly up here in Canada, like just with the weather, the coldness and the wetness, it's just like eating a 100% raw food diet all year round. You know, it might work for some people, but for some people it might not. And so, you know, extremes, is it an extreme to eat all raw food? You know, for me, it's not. To me, it's extreme to neglect your body's needs, to put things in it that it doesn't want, and to sell yourself short by neglecting your health. You know, like your health is the greatest investment that you have in life. When it's gone, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter how much money you have, like health, because that's your thinking, that's your energy, it's all, you know, health is everything. So it's like, it's not extreme to find what works for you and stick with it, but also being aware that there are certain, you know, if you're in, you know, my loctician, she says like in Jamaica, when she's there, she eats mostly raw food. And also, you know, like when I'm down in Mexico or in Guatemala, just because the amount of fresh produce that is available at any given time is pretty substantial. So it is way easier to eat a diet like that, you know, when there's just fresh coconuts all the time, and there's always a new fruit coming into season, whereas here in Canada, that's not the case. It's winter crops right now. You know, there's celery, and there's, you know, there's apples, there's nuts and stuff like that are like this year's and whatnot. I mean, there's citrus, it's citrus time, and also kiwis. You know, there's some things, but certainly not the plethora of fruits and veggies that are available in places that have a much warmer climate kind of thing. So, you know, for myself, and then it's nice too. So it's just like, okay, raw vegan, absolutely. But the focus is raw vegan, meaning at home, I pretty much only eat raw vegan. I mean, meaning salads or different things with bananas, different fruits. I mean, there's a bunch of things that I make, and certainly some of these recipes and stuff like that. But it's not like I'm allergic to eating cooked food. It's just that rice has gone from being on my plate right here to over there on the stairs. You know, it is when I am out and I'm in a pinch. You know, would I eat some sushi? Of course, you know, vegan sushi, whatever, right? You know, like I would enjoy it and not worry about it, not think that I'm doing something wrong, you know. And I have, just to help me through this time in where I'm learning the ropes of a raw vegan diet till I can have more staples available to me. I have this stuff, Ezekiel bread, which is like a sprouted grain bread, and I eat it. I will make a sandwich once in a while, and it's just enjoyable to have a little, you know, a little something different. I mean, maybe once a month or every couple weeks, I will make a pot of beans. If I feel like it, I will eat them. But just in general, I have other things that I eat and that I enjoy, and yeah. So I guess, yeah, it's just, the point is, you know, if you're going to do something which, you know, what some may call a very restrictive diet, I mean, yeah, just you ease into it and do your best and not be super anal about it. It's not about, you know, never being able to eat any, you know, anything that has been cooked above a certain temperature to touch your lips. I mean, because if, you know, what Annie says, it's just like stressing about that kind of stuff. Stress is not good for your health. Like, that's specifically what we're trying to avoid, is stuff that negatively impacts our health. That's why you would move, if you felt like it, to a raw food diet. You know, one of the things that about a raw food diet, why, is just because there's a thing called leukocytosis, where it's like every time your body, anybody's body eats cooked food, your body produces an amount of white blood cells, essentially to deal with what you've put in it. Like, it sees what you've put in it as an intrusion, and so it has a natural reaction. Unless you combine enough raw food and cooked food together, then you don't have this issue. But when you eat just cooked foods, your body has, like, what, you know, for what it's worth, like an allergic reaction. So it's just like, you know, there are many reasons for why I choose this diet. It just makes the most sense, and it's really working for me. And also not being too strict about it and stuff. I mean, but fairly strict, you know, like saying that, like, I don't ever plan to eat cooked food. I just do it, you know, for enjoyment, sometimes in a pinch, you know, if I'm out or whatever. And, you know, I could eat some roasted nuts. It's not like everything has to be raw, but yeah, and it has just made a world of a difference in my life. And that's what we're looking for, is results. You know, I can see it. I can see myself eating like this for a very long time, at least until I progress to something else. But right now, it's great. I have all of the energy, certainly with the juicing. And then when I make my own nut milks, and then I just make it fresh every day. And then sometimes I eat like bananas with goji berries and hemp seeds and like different things, and spirulina, and I will put some, it's like a raw vegan organic protein powder in there just to bring that up a little bit. And yeah, I'm thriving. And I tell you, it's been so long that I've been struggling. It has been, you know, I've watched my health come and go. And it's just like, to me, that's motivation. You know, I've seen myself look, you know, it's like a look in the mirror and it's just like, wow, I look like I got hit by a, you know, like a semi-truck last night. It's like, what did I do? You know, what am I doing wrong? You know, how do I fix this. I don't want, you know, I do everything that I can to preserve the flower of my youth. And it's like, sometimes it's like, oh, what am I doing wrong? But yeah, so like this progress that I've made in the last year or so, it's just been fundamental. It's been really great, you know, for things to be coming kind of full circle. And it's like, yeah, doing what works for me. And yeah, it's good to be healthy.